Hello and welcome to Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. The name of this podcast is BIPV and Tesla Solar Glass with Bill Brooks. Building integrated PV, that's BIPV, has been around forever as far as the solar industry is concerned, which is about 4 or 5 decades. It has never taken off like people think. There has always been a lot of hype around BIPV, especially amongst lay people, but will Tesla change BIPV forever? I would think not, except I would never underestimate a guy that turned a small EV company into the world's most valuable automaker, and the same guy that lands reusable rockets routinely, and also, by the way, the same guy that started a company that can make non-human primates play video games with their thoughts. All things which were considered impossible not too long ago. To have fun and learn more about solar and storage, go to Solar, S-E-A-N, that's SolarSean.com. So let's find out more about BIPV. What do you think, Bill?
Solar glass. This is called BIPV. BIPV stands for Building Integrated Photovoltaics. That term is over 40 years old. It's not a new term. And Tesla did not invent this concept by any way, shape, or form. The oldest systems that I can even think of, some of them were building integrated photovoltaics. In the late 1970s, there were little companies like General Electric making building integrated photovoltaics, and they thought this might be the wave of the future. There were probably at least 4 or 5 manufacturers of building integrated photovoltaics in 1980. So this has been around forever. That's 40 years ago. And at that point in time, everyone in the solar industry that was dealing with photovoltaics believed that building integrated photovoltaics would be the only way that photovoltaics would be installed on homes within 5 years. At that point, frame modules were common. They were used for all kinds of off-grid applications, and we had proven them out on houses and stuff like that. This is before my career, of course, but I know many of the people that worked on those systems that are still living. If you were to tell one of those people back then that 40 years from now, most people are going to be putting frame modules on rooftops, they would laugh right in your face. And they would say, not only is that the stupidest thing I've ever heard, that's just not even going to happen. And they would have all been wrong. Because we're still putting frame modules on the roofs. And guess what? 40 years from now, we are still going to be putting frame modules on rooftops because it's an excellent way of doing it, and it will continue to be an excellent way of doing it. Now, how much more we will be doing of BIPV between now and then is anyone's guess. And how successful Tesla is with their solar glass product is anyone's guess. We root for companies like this, and it's a cool idea and it looks pretty, but if I had lots of money to put on it, I wouldn't put it on this. Because who knows? I could be totally wrong. I've been wrong before. But building integrated photovoltaics, a lot of people that are new to this industry think this is a new idea, a new concept, and why hasn't anybody thought of it before? No, they've thought of it 40 years ago or more. Actually, the concept goes 60 years ago, easily. That people thought about doing this. It's just exceedingly difficult to do it well and to do it in a way that really looks good. Frame modules don't necessarily look all that great, but it's a lot easier to make frame modules look good and install them cheaply than it is for a building integrated system to look good, install cheaply, and actually work for a long time. We've had many building integrated products over the years that have failed miserably because of the number of connections, because of the products that were used, because of the materials that were used, the fact they run higher temperatures, all kinds of things that contributed to the out-and-out failure of many attempts of this in the past. That has caused a lot of folks to shrink back from this very difficult task of creating an aesthetic product that would sit on a roof. Now, Elon Musk, who has said to hell with anybody's ideas on how hard things are, has gone into that in typical mode of his personality and attempted this. And I'm hoping, like SpaceX and electric vehicles, that he's successful.
Yeah, it might be easier to get to Mars, though, than to make BIPV
I would think,
work.
actually, I would give SpaceX a little more possibility of success than this. But hey, it's always good to have a challenge.
Yeah, it seems like in the solar industry, there's always a lot of things that get a lot of hype. The hype is also probably coming from people that are not in the industry. I even had my neighbor who's in her 80s saying that her friend is investing in some company that's making solar windows and the stock's doubling right now and things like that. And then like some other things. Remember, they're going to have like solar painting on garages or
streets.
You can paint things. Yeah. Solar roadways, solar freaking roadways.
Yep, exactly. All kinds of great ideas. It's wonderful to kind of think out there, but the reality of costs and all the rest come into play, and longevity, reliability. I mean, those are huge issues. And that's why we venture into these great, cool ideas, and then we retreat back to the things that work, which are frame modules. We go into these places and we come back to frame modules every time. And it's like, I'm hoping we have cool stuff like this in the future, but it's going to be too expensive for me to buy. So I'll be putting frame modules on for a while.
Yeah. And the frame modules too, it gives you a nice air gap under there, and it cools your house on even.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good system for that too. I mean, you can build roofing materials that have cooling underneath it. In fact, a tile roof in general is a cooler roof than a comp shingle roof, for instance. Mm-hmm. And this would be a cooler roof than maybe even a tile roof or similar to a tile roof. You know, those are all good benefits that they provide. But guess what? You can put a frame module over a roof and it does the same darn thing. In fact, it does it better because it's actually got an air gap that allows exhaustion of heat better than this does.
Hopefully this will be really cheap someday. And
That's right.
Thanks for listening, and to learn more about the sun and everything else, go to solarsean.com.